All right, hey, welcome to another edition of JTJU, where we all try to be just a little better at the game of Clash of Clans. Got another How the That's right, yeah. Episode 5. We're taking a look at a Town Hall 10 nuke, 11 hitting down. In this case, it's going to be a QWalk followed by a witch-based push into mid. But what's more interesting about this attack actually is the QWalk. There's some interesting nuances that enabled it to happen that we'll take a look at. Anyway, let's get a look at the attack, and we'll go from there. Alright, so here's the base that we want to take a walk through, a look-see. The flow will end up with a QWalk that starts here and kind of works its way around, incredibly gets around this corner, and then as it approaches this area, a jump is placed to enable her to penetrate there, but at the same time a jump is placed here. CC golems plus a wizard plus 4 others push in to basically establish a cut, if you will, where the queen has actually cut on this side, making a nice pipeline for the witches plus the king and warden to move through and drive the base. So that's what basically is going to happen, but there's some interesting things around the walk itself. I guess let's watch the walk first, and then we'll come back to it. And I'll point out some of the things that the model showed were actually like surprising that they worked out. So as the queen moves along, she's really not pressured too much, although there are 5 healers with her. But you can see there's no real risk at this point of her taking any big pressure from anything. I mean, the expos, granted, will be the primary active, but never more than 2 items are against her, and the queen is never pulled out to engage. And you know, with a witch-based attack, you don't really have to worry about getting the queen down. I mean, the mass is the bane of her existence. She can't shoot them all, so they overrun her. You know, if you've got 5 level 3 witches, you got what, 60 skeletons, 60 Larrys in that case. So here's the only time where she gets kind of low, maybe 30%, and then watch this nice rollabout around the corner, which you wouldn't have expected. Let's pause it right there, and then I'll pop up the PDF of what was happening. So there was a few things. You can see my notes over here as far as what I've noticed as I was walking through it, but let me just pull out a couple of them. When she got to the C shooting position, it was interesting that she had completed her targeting. C was actually targeting this mine, right, and this whiz tower. So she took those out, but it was interesting at that point in time, while she seemed to be, this blue bar was in range in terms of line of shot of the elixir collector, she actually moves forward to the D position. And I'm not sure what that is. Well, actually, let me step back. That's a different thing I'm not sure about. What I'm thinking here is what's going on is that the way this is graphically drawn, actually the edge is actually probably on the top of that D circle for the inside hit radius, and so that's why it was just barely out of range as she came up. You know, because there is some slight slop, quarter of a tile difference, but really the visual is what's throwing you off, because it draws with an overlap to the behind tiles. So really the edge of the collector kind of goes like this. It's kind of hard to tell because I'm moving my mouse, but then the hitbox edge is right about here. And then you can do the same here, so the hitbox edge ends up being, like I said, on the D. So it's just a visual. The problem with QWalk mapping is there's I was talking to somebody last night, A-Boy last night, the map is 2-dimensional and it's not skewed to show depth, but the elements drawn on it are created to create a 3-dimensional uplift. So you have to really focus on QWalk planning against the tiles on the floor. So that was one interesting point. And then the other thing that I noticed was as you got to the D position, right? So now she's there. Notice how both these red bars are the same length. Notice how the actual shot taken is the E position. So she decides that from this position, what I'm trying to show is where she's going to walk to from D. So instead of like taking the shot on the archer tower or moving slightly forward and shooting the archer tower, totally ignores it. Now part of that again is the graphical confusion, right? So look at draw from the floor tiles where it's at. That's the edge. This is the inside line for the hitbox. But the other thing I think is happening here is that it's calculating the walk line, right? So what the red bar shows is the shot line, but when she's at a decision point of where the next shooting position is, she's actually not calculating the walk line or the shot line. She's calculating the walk, and I think, theory, that she has to walk somewhat differently around rubble or existing buildings. They're treated the same. She has to kind of do a curved pass. She can't walk right over it. I don't know. Think it's a theory. It's the only thing that can explain why she didn't go for the Archer Tower to me. But she goes back, hits E, and then she walks this whole path. That's not a big deal. But right here, another really moment. So she gets to K. That's no big deal. Shoots the mine. But from right here, if you had the measure out, you would notice that the 8 tile radius is actually kind of like right here, out of the range of, almost just barely out of the range. And I mean, so I'm pretty sure barely out of the range because I looked at the video, came back, compared, and so what I came away with, and so she pulls around this, which seems like nobody, I would never thought that it would have made that pull, but she does, because the 1x1 hut hitbox. So when I say hitbox, I mean the circle inside of a defensive building that actually is, it's almost like two circles combining, right, coming together. The queen detection range and the hitbox of the element. In most buildings, 3x3 buildings, that hitbox, or that hit circle, more accurately said, is less than the radius, like that cannon that we look at here. That's a 3x3 building. The hitbox is probably more like a 1x1 hitbox that reaches out. Maybe a 1.25. It might be a percentage of radius. But what I'm theorizing again with the huts specifically is with 1x1 buildings, the hit radius is actually on the edge of the graphical representation. So see the hut's edge? So like right there. And I think it actually might overlap. Because think about if it was a minimum of a 1 tile radius hit circle, that would overlap the edges at certain points. It would come out to here, go over to here, go over to here, and it would kind of make sense. So I'm going to continue to try to figure out by building what the hit radiuses are. Right now my theory is with the hut, hit radius is a little bigger than just from the center of it half tile out. I think it's more like 0.7. It's more of a 1, when you add it all together, it's more like 0.5 rotating around it. So anyway, those are the main things I saw with the walk that were interesting and kind of evolved the thinking around QWalk. Let's keep going and kind of see this attack kind of play out. And the reason why I was showing it isn't that, it is a nuke, a max Town Hall 11 coming down and hammering a max Town Hall 10, but what I think is important as the meta changes in the game, that we're moving to this where the high level here bases are going to be weighted more, the high level defensive structures are weighted more, and you're going to take more time to make sure matching occurs more evenly. You're going to see a lot of mirror mismatches and needs for Town Hall 11s to hit down and on a high efficiency level, meaning like 2 attacks produce two closes, 2 3-stars, to win wars. So understanding how this nuke works, and you can see there's the flanking that happened. Here's the queen coming back. Isn't that nice how these buildings were left so that when the queen rounded the corner, she stayed here and then drove in? And the other thing notice is that the tome and the freeze were used together to kind of allow the wizards plus witches Larrys to kind of press the middle in a quick fashion. So it was a nice overwhelm of what was a multi base. So typically you would say that was kind of 2 multis sitting here and here. They kind of have overlapping fire. You would have thought that would be kind of resistive to a witch based push, but with the nuke aspect and having the freeze in the back and the tome in the front, it really allowed these Larrys to work this, not get weakened from the backside. That was out. And then once they were here and those 2 lockdown effects were gone, it was able to push through. So I hope it helps. I thought it was interesting, like I said. And we'll just keep playing with this QWalk. Talk to you guys later.
Don't touch that, Larry.
Touch it, Larry. You know you want to.
Larry, don't touch
Larry,
that.
do it. Do it, Larry.
Larry!
Yes! Welcome to the first day of the rest of your life, Larry.
What'd I
Good
just say,
job,
Larry?
Good job.